It's that time of the year again. Love is in the air. But so is COVID, so wash your hands, wear your mask, get vaccinated. Yeah. So unless you've been like living under a rock or hibernating for the past couple weeks, month, you know that Valentine's Day is coming up. It's a great occasion to wear perfume or to gift perfume. I'm not an expert when it comes to romance. I'm really not, but I know a thing or two about perfume. So whether you want to know what to wear or you're just trying to buy something for your special someone and you're running out of time, I'm here to help. You're welcome. And just for you and for the occasion, I wore a little heart on my cheek and my pretty red lipstick that I like rarely ever wear these days because again, masks. I even like put on like a pretty kind of see-through-ish shirt, you know, like making an effort. The truth is I am wearing flip-flops and sweatpants, but you can't see that. Movie magic. I have about a dozen of fragrances to recommend. But in order to make it a little more fun, I have divided my recommendations in 4 categories for different types of dates. Number 1 is your very chic, very fancy night out. You know, you're going all out, you're wearing like your best suit, maybe even a tuxedo, or your best dress. Everything is just tiré à quatre épingles, vraiment just like, maybe it's, you know, an anniversary, maybe it's not, but one thing is for sure, you're gonna have a great night and everything needs to be as perfect and put together as your outfit. So what do you do? What do you wear? That's where I come in. I have feminine recommendations, I have masculine recommendations, I have some that are unisex. Again, feminine, masculine, unisex, it doesn't really mean that like women should wear this, men should wear that. It's just the vibe that it gives me, just to give you an indicator in case you're trying to go for one type of scent or the other, or both, neither. You get what I'm saying. Okay, my number 1 recommendation, and this one is just very feminine, is Putain des Palaces by Etat, Libre de Rouge. And contrary to what you might think because of the name of the fragrance, it's actually not raunchy at all. At least not to my nose. Some people say that to them that's what it's giving them, but not. It doesn't pull that either on my skin or on my clothes. To my nose, it doesn't. It's just the most beautiful rose violet, slightly leathery fragrance. And I just think it's perfect for Valentine's Day because if there's one fragrance that I know that reminds me of just love and romance and attraction, that's this one. This fragrance, I said that before, it reminds me of a mother going out with her husband on a dinner date and she has just this beautiful dress on with a beautiful leather coat with a fur lining, right? And she's kissing her kids goodbye and leaving them with the nanny. It's sexy, it's classy, it's delicate, but it has character. I love this scent. It exudes such class that if you're going on a very fancy date, you should probably give it a try. Okay, number 2, to stay in like those elegant scents that exude class and pretty, but this one is even like prettier, is Oud Bouquet. So it's just as a matter of fact, I think for that occasion specifically, I think a lot of rose oud combinations would do. But this one specifically I like because it is very well blended. It is sweet, but not sugary. It's quite woody. The rose does its job, but it's not overwhelming. And the praline sweetens it up and gives like kind of like a slightly ambery sweetness. I think it's one of those scents, unless you really dislike either oud or rose, that you're just gonna like, and even if you don't like those notes on their own, I think it's a really likable one. Number 3, Black Phantom by Killian. Now I don't know if other people smell the resemblance between Oud Bouquet and Black Phantom. It is just, ugh, you know? This one I think is slightly more unisex and more accessible to everyone in terms of like scent than Oud Bouquet. But it's basically an oudi, sweet, kind of boozy fragrance with a note of rum and woods, and instead of the praline in Oud Bouquet you have sugarcane. It has notes of caramel, of chocolate. I think the combination of heliotrope and almond add to that like smoothness, sweetness. Black Phantom by Killian is a leather jacket. There are so many occasions to wear it, but it always looks good, it always looks badass. It's also quite classy, it's also a classy scent. It's very versatile. Versatile or I don't know. How do you say that? I don't know. If I'm pronouncing it wrong, oh well. It gives you like this air of, I own this place. I love it so much. I love it so much. Just, you should try it. You should try it. Okay, recommendation number 4 is one that I've only ever smelled in store, that I simply cannot afford, but God is it beautiful. It's Noir de Noir by Tom Ford. It is such a beautiful, beautifully blended scent. It is a mix of like earthiness with the truffle and the oak moss and slightly floral, but mostly just rose and kind of boozy. It has patchouli in it. It's magnificent. This fragrance reminds me of a glass of an expensive, beautiful, slightly sweet red wine and velvet. Like, you know, the fabric, velvet. That is automatically what comes to my mind when I smell this fragrance. Is just, man. Category number 2 is more of a casual chill date. It's still a night out with your boo. You've traded the tuxedo, suit, dress, and heels for a black leather jacket, heeled boots, and a pair of jeans. I don't know what men wear on those nights, so I'll just say what I would wear. Going to your favorite restaurant in town that you go to all the time, and then to the bar, or you'll go dancing, or you'll go to a concert. So number 1 is Ristretto Intense Café by Montale. It's a very pretty, sweet, fun scent. Why I think it's perfect for a Valentine's Day date is, let me paint you a picture. It is a chocolate vanilla truffle that is filled in the center with rose jam, and you're eating it with a cup of coffee, an espresso, right? That is Ristretto Intense Café as an experience. The coffee note to me is like, you know, it fades kind of in the background, and what I can smell is a super nice vanilla and quite sweet rose. It's a little bit too sweet for my liking, personally, but what is more Valentine's Day than chocolate, vanilla, and roses with a hint of coffee to give it a kick? It's perfect, it's fun, it's very feminine, but you can do whatever you want and you can wear whatever you want. So yeah, that's like the number 1 recommendation for like a fun date out, you know, without like thinking about it too much. Prise de tête, voilà. Number 2 is like a 2-for-1. It's Trésor Midnight Rose by Lancôme or Angel Nova by Mugler. Why am I, you know, recommending the both of them at the same time? Because they smell practically identical. The thing is, I am emotionally attached to Trésor Midnight Rose because it was my signature scent when I was in middle school. I love that scent so much. It is a fruity, like berry rose with hints of wood. If you remember back in, was it 2013, 2014, the ad with Emma Watson for that fragrance kind of encapsulates the fragrance very well. It's nighttime appropriate. I will say, I've tried, you know, I've owned one, I've tried the other. Angel Nova, in terms of longevity, is amazing. The longevity in the Lancôme one, I think, is slightly inferior to Angel Nova's. So, you know, maybe smell the two and see if like one pulls a note that you don't like more than the other. There are some people who say that Very Good Girl by Carolina Herrera also smells like those two. And I think it is true, however, I am not recommending it here because personally I think it is a bit more vanilla-y, and that's just not my vibe. I think Angel Nova and Trésor Midnight Rose are just better for my taste, but you know. So that is option number 2/3. The last one in this category is one that is marketed towards men, and I think it's beautiful and I love it and I think it's so fun. It's L'Homme Idéal by Guerlain, Oud Parfum. There's always like some people just like, I don't know, like just flexing their cars and motorcycles on my street. Like, babes, it's 2 in the morning. And it's not even a busy street. No one's gonna see your vehicle. Just go home. So, L'Homme Idéal. To make it just as simple as I can, it's like a kind of spicy, almondy cherry coke. And it doesn't exactly smell of cherry cola, of course, but it has a note of cherry in the opening that stays throughout and is just beautiful. Because at some point I was kind of like on a hunt for nice cherry fragrances that weren't Lost Cherry by Tom Ford, because that one is like so expensive, and I've heard it doesn't last, so why would I do that to myself? And I came across L'Homme Idéal. If you like cherry scents and you've been looking for one that doesn't smell like candy or doesn't smell like medicine or stuff like that, or is just not, you know, like super artificial and is actually a little sour, L'Homme Idéal by Guerlain. I like the Oud Parfum more than the Extreme, personally. The Extreme is a little more spicy, a little less cherry. So, you know, go for what you like, but I think for that occasion, for like a night out, a fun night out with your significant other or others, it's killer. The third category of dates is the staying in date. It's much more intimate, it's cozier, so you're not necessarily going to want something that projects very far. Those skin scents that are just so nice to cuddle into, that's what you want. And I got you. Number 1 recommendation, Dior Homme Intense. Oh my god. It's so good. It's so good. It's just, even though, you know, it's marketed towards men, I think it doesn't pull particularly masculine or feminine. It's just great. It's iris, vanilla, it's also slightly woody, and it's just such a great scent for cuddles. It's sweet, it's nice, it's not headache-inducing. I mean, what else do you want, really? And anybody can wear it, in my opinion. It doesn't really matter what gender you are. I can't think of like a person that simply couldn't pull it off. Like, I'm trying to think of someone that just wouldn't vibe with it, and I just can't find it because it's that great. And I know a lot of people say that it's been reformulated and that it's not as potent as before, and it might be true, but I smelled the most recent version I could find at Marino recently and I still loved it. Now, in terms of longevity, it might be different than before and a little less potent, but again, in this category, it doesn't really matter. Number 2, it is Hypnotic Poison, and the name does it justice. It is hypnotic, it is intoxicating. When you smell it once, you want to smell it again and again and again. It's just like never enough. And I know a lot of people say it has like a kind of a Play-Doh-y note. I don't smell it, but maybe you would. It's almondy, it's vanilla, it's without being too sweet. It's not cloying or anything. So it's still appropriate for close encounters. Perfect. Number 3 is Chocolate Greedy by Montale. It's just, I love it so much. Chocolate Greedy basically smells like a chocolate truffle with a little bit of almond or almond powder. It's so good. It's powdery, it's chocolatey, it's sweet. It's not like a super dark, super like bitter chocolate, not at all. It's like, you know, those little chocolate truffles that you get at the end of the year around Christmas season. And it's so soft, and it's just, you just want to hug it. And, you know, again, it's like perfect for the occasion. If you're with someone who loves chocolate, that's the one. That's the one. You don't need anything else, just that one. Chocolate Reedy by Montale. The last one is not one that I personally love because I think it's too sweet, but I do know that a lot of people like it, and again, I think it's appropriate for the occasion, so I'm going to list it anyways. That is Rouge Smoking by BDK. If you've ever smelled Manifesto, it's the same type of vanilla in it, except it has a cherry note on top. I think it's beautiful. I think honestly on someone else I would enjoy it a lot more than on myself. On myself, I got sick of it within like, I don't know, an hour and a half. I was like, okay, I'm done. Because it is quite sweet. Even though the juice is red, it's mostly vanilla, heliotrope, and tonka bean with a little bit of a musky dry down. And the cherry is there for like maybe half the journey, and then it's mostly vanilla. And it's a beautiful vanilla, but again, just a little too sweet for me. It doesn't really project far in my experience, at least. So really great if you're trying to get someone to come closer. Finally, the fourth type of like occasion, or rather more occasion than date for this one, is if you are on the hunt for Valentine's Day. You know, like you're single, but it doesn't mean you're gonna spend Valentine's Day alone, and you're trying to pull somebody, basically. I don't know where, and I don't know how, but I mean, people have their methods, okay? I'm not gonna question them. I'm just here to provide you with tools to do exactly what you want to do. The first one is gonna be actually one that I already mentioned, and that is Ristretto Intense Café again. It gives you this sort of like fun, confident aura, and like people can't seem to get enough of it. So I think it works. I think it works. Number two is another Tom Ford, and that is Noir pour Femme. It is one of the few gourmands that I really, really like. The ginger and the citrus are not that apparent to me, but the rose, amber, vanilla, sandalwood are just, that's really the heart of it. And it has a sort of like a nutty kind of note. I'm not really sure what it is, whether it's in the coffee or in another one of the notes, but it has this like nutty, kind of magnetic scent. I like to describe this fragrance as the James Bond girl. You're not the James Bond villain, you know, the hot villain. It's not that one. It's the James Bond girl. She is kind of mysterious, but very sexy. She has red lipstick on and a black dress, and she's sitting at the bar, and she knows you're watching her. She knows, but she's not gonna move, she's not gonna do anything, because she knows you will come to her. That is, to me, Noir pour Femme. Number three, another Tom Ford. I know you're gonna think I'm not sponsored. It should be. I would love to be, but I'm not. Is Black Orchid Parfum. Specifically the Parfum. Like, I love Black Orchid, the EDP, but the Parfum is just slightly more boozy and a little more sweet in the dry down, and it is just masterpiece. Now, it's not for everybody. That is for sure. Not everybody's gonna love it. And see, if Noir pour Femme was the James Bond girl, Black Orchid Parfum is that one hot villain in the movie where you're just like, you can't help but look at her and be just pulled in, and you're not even sure what is so enticing about her. But it is. By the way, Black Orchid is quite unisex according to many people. To me, it gives me the image of a female villain, because that's just where my mind goes. But in terms of scent alone, a lot of men wear Black Orchid. But again, in my brain, Black Orchid de Parfum is that one hot female villain that is the mastermind behind like all the operation. She's hot and she's dangerous, and you don't know why you're walking into this trap, but you will walk into it. With a smile on your face, willingly surrendering, just because you can't help it. That is Black Orchid de Parfum. Number four, and I know I'm like repeating myself a little bit, but a lot of those that I said were appropriate for dates are also appropriate if you're trying to pull someone, because again, they're seductive, they're sexy, they're fun, they honestly, they kind of scream confidence. So, you know, this one is, again, Black Phantom. I am telling you, this is just, once you smell it, you're not gonna want to stop. It's that good. And it's kind of boozy, it's kind of dark. Whether you're at a dive bar or like on the dance floor, when people get a whiff, they're gonna want to approach you. So do with that information whatever you want. The last fragrance I'll recommend. I know what I said about it, but if your goal is to get someone, not only get someone's attention, but keep that person's attention, and that's what you're going for, Lost Cherry by Tom Ford. Absolutely. I do not own it because I can't afford it. And even though, you know, some people are talking about the longevity, etc., etc., I mean, hey, that I don't know because I don't own it. All I know is spray it on clothes. If you gotta overspray it, overspray it. Valentine's Day is once a year. So, you know, what do you got to lose? Lost Cherry is like sweet but not innocent. It's, yeah, it's cherry, almond, a little bit of vanilla. I think it has a couple of woody notes in there. My phone died also, so I can't really check, but again, scent pyramid will be there. And it's kind of everything you want. If you're into that type of scent, if you're into that sweetness, that almond, it will do the job. It will grab somebody's attention or multiple somebody's attention, and it will keep it. And on that note, that concludes my whole entire list of Valentine's Day scents. So if you decide to wear one of those, if you decide to go and pick up one of those based on my recommendation, if you decide to do that, just, you know, say something, comment something, message me, you know how it goes. I hope this video will inspire you to go on and try to find the perfect Valentine's Day scent, whether or not you celebrate it, because I don't, but I already know what I'm gonna wear for that night. And on that note, I will leave you with a big kiss and a happy Valentine's Day!